First of all, I'd like to apologize for the video. Couldn't get my mic to work at school when trying to get this presentation together, so I decided just to video it and upload it to YouTube. So this is my presentation for Creative Problem Solving Tech 830. We were asked to take a problem that we have come across and try to put a process to it that we studied in class and ways in which we could solve this. Alright, first of all, the problem. My main problem is I teach carpentry, so I'm asked to take a group of young teenagers that has their mind on everything else except for carpentry, and I'm supposed to teach them everything there is to build a house in 4 years, and then at the end of the 4 year I'm supposed to hand them a certification, a national certification from NCCER, which says they're a level 1 carpenter which understand and know how to build one of these houses. And I'm asked to do it with a little bit of money or maybe no budget hardly at all for materials. So in the preparation phase, I use Neller's process of problem solving. I come up with 5 ideas. I sort of thought of preparation as a brainstorming, and I came up with 5 ideas when I brainstorm: live work, small model houses, mock-ups, small foundations, and videos and bookwork. And after coming up with these in my head and brainstorming them, the next step is to just kind of put everything in motion and to go into the incubation phase, which I think of the incubation phase as thinking about each one of these ideas and how they would be good or bad, or the pros and the cons of them. So I just broke each one of them down, and I started with the small foundations. This was actually a project that I tried in class, and it worked really well, but it was very, very expensive. The pros of it, that the students actually had real life experience from building from a foundation up on a house, and it included all the parts of the house, from the windows to the doors to the roof to the ceiling joist. Anything that you could put in a house, you could put in these small foundations. The cons, of course, was the expense. I found it was very expensive. Didn't have enough space in my shop that all the students could work, so they had to work in groups. And we all know when you have students that work in groups, you have 1 or 2 that tend to do the work, and the rest of them just stand and watch. And also, I found that students love to hide in these houses and just hide and do things they ain't supposed to, and then maybe they wouldn't even show up for class because they'd be hiding inside of these little houses. The next thing I thought of was videos and bookwork, which right off I really didn't like this idea because I am more of a hands-on learner as well, and I'm sure my students are too. But the pros for this was it was easy to prove to the administration that the students were learning. I mean, we had hands or paperwork that you could say, well, they got this for a grade or that for a grade. The cons was that the students hated it. They absolutely hated it because there was no hands-on learning and no real-life experience. So this was an idea that I kind of just started, and then it kind of faded away as fast as it came. Live work orders. When I first started as a teacher, I thought live work orders was exactly what we needed. All we'd have to do is the customer would order the materials, we'll build the projects, and out the door they go, and we just keep building projects. Found out that that was not the case, because the cons for this was the owner wanted everything to be perfect, and we know dealing with teenage students that nothing's perfect. No matter what project I've ever done, I've found that they all make mistakes. And it come to find out, and the more I did these, I realized that the owner wanted me as the instructor to do the work. That way I could make sure the quality was there. We had a problem with the pickup and the deliveries of the projects. Had time restraints. Customers would come in with 2 months left on the school year, and they'd want to build or something. So that didn't work. And then scheduling, it seemed like every time somebody would want something built, it was at the wrong time during the class, and we were working on bookwork, or we were working on a different aspect of carpentry instead of what they wanted us to be done. So live work is good. It takes a lot of patience, and a lot of things got to get lined up right to do live work. So we try not to do that. That was an idea that really didn't work either. Model homes. This was something that I actually got the idea from when I was in middle school. When I was in middle school and took technology, they would order these little pre-built or prefab houses that come in a kit, almost like a model car kit, and they were made out of balsa wood, and you'd put all the parts in. You had all the parts that represented a house in that model, but of course it was on a small scale. It was actually made out of balsa wood, And it was safer. You didn't have to worry about all the power tools and everything. And it was a little more organized because you could work inside at your desk. So, you know, there were some pros to this. The cons, I actually found these little model homes were very, very expensive. One house was around $99, $99 to $100. So it really wasn't feasible for me to have every student being able to have one of these. You really didn't get job experience, so there was not that real hands-on life experience that they need. And you can only use the materials one time. Once you built that little model house, that was all you could do with it. You couldn't do nothing else with the material. And you didn't actually get to use the tools. I mean, if a student wants to learn carpentry, they're going to have to actually learn to use a skill saw and table saws and tools needed in carpentry. And they weren't getting this with these model homes. And then the illumination stage came, and I got an idea that just seemed to work and seemed to fit my situation. And this idea actually came while I was doing a summer job. We were building a house for a lady, and every morning we came in, she would want us to move the wall. She didn't like where it was at, or she didn't like what was in it. She wanted the window bigger. She wanted the door moved. So after about a week of moving this wall every time we come in, it kind of dawned on me that, hey, you know, we're using that wall again and again and moving it and changing it, but we're not having to buy any more materials. All we're having to do is supply more time on that wall, and we were still using the same materials and everything. So I thought, hey, that might work for my class. So what I did was, the first thing I did is I developed started with 5 CAD drawings that would represent a wall, and in each wall it had the parts of a house, from the studs to the windows to the doors to the headers to the cripples. Anything that was in an actual house I could put in these walls. And what I did, I started out with a very basic wall with nothing in it but studs, and then as the student progresses, they get into tougher and more levels of difficulty as the walls progress. And I found that they use the same materials over and over. I'm able to take 15 2x4s per student, and they can take those 15 2x4s and they can go all the way through all 10 walls. What a mock-up is, it's a full-size scale model of a structure, and it's used for demonstration or study or testing, which works perfect in my case. The pros, they had real-life experience. It had a hands-on application. Students are able to reuse the materials multiple times, and it can include all components of a house. You can change each mock-up as the student progresses through my program, and students are working alone or maybe at times with one teammate instead of 4 or 5, so there's not a lot of group work, so students seem to learn more. The cons, I really haven't found a con yet. Everything seems to be working so good so far, and of course that was the illumination stage. So once I got that idea, then I went into the verification stage, and this is actually what that stage I'm in right now during class. I wound up developing 10 different plans, and again, the size and difficulty changes with each plan. Each student is issued 15 2x4s that will build all 10 walls, and then on completion of that 10 wall, the remaining lumber can be used to build a Kentucky chair, which I let my intro to carpentry class do that, and we take those chairs after we have them built and we sell them, which brings money back into my program. So I'm able to take those 15 2x4s, and usually I can turn them into about 4 Kentucky chairs. So it's working great so far, and again, in the verification stage, I'm sure I'll find some things that I need to change, but as of right now, that's working very, very well. And this is my project. This is the end of it. Really actually enjoyed this. I think we all have a creative problem that we have to deal with every day. It's not something that just comes every once in a while, but it was kind of interesting to take a problem and put it to a process like we have in this class to come up with an answer. Thank you.